Denver takes it in overtime at home, 33-30. Josh Allen, 25-39, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles lost. On the other side, Bo Nix, 26-46, 279, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Give props to Denver. We've had conversations about their offense all season long. It's been very, it hasn't been exactly lit you up. It hasn't exactly impressed you. Watching Denver over the course of the season, a lot of their games have been very close, at times against inferior competition. So you question the legitimacy of this team based on the offensive end. You knew their defense was very good, throughout the entire year, and they have been, especially led by Pat Surtain, one of the greatest cornerbacks we've ever seen in the league. But you still have question marks about the offense. Could it be enough to help you win games in the playoffs? Well, in this game, Broncos put up 33 points. That's normally enough points for you to help you win a playoff game. So you got to give props to Sean Payton, Denver's offensive coordinator, and Bo Nix. Again, guys, Bo Nix was a quarterback that I had probably the most questions about going into these playoffs as far as legitimacy. Like, could this guy actually win you a playoff game based on the offense if you've seen all season long? He's definitely answered that question. It sucks that he is out for the season now. As you know, Bo Nix broke a bone in his ankle during that game. We're not exactly sure when it happened. There's a couple of videos out, so I'm kind of showing like when he starts limping, when it probably happened. I don't think anybody knows for sure here, but it's a tough way to end your season. You put up 33 points against the Buffalo Bills. You take out Josh Allen in the playoffs, take Denver to the AFC Championship game for the first time in forever, and you lose your starting quarterback like that. That sucks for the fan base, sucks for the team. You just wonder how they're going to move forward in the AFC Championship game based on whoever their opponent is. Jarrett Stidham is going to be the starting quarterback. This is a guy that has not thrown an NFL pass in a regular season game since 2023. So you wonder how prepared will he be? You imagine with Sean Payton having time to prepare that Jarrett Stidham will be well prepared, but that's just going to be a question mark that Denver's going to have to face, and we'll see if they can ride their defense and ride their running game to see if they can advance themselves to the Super Bowl. Josh Allen played well enough to give his team a chance to win in the end. I'm going to get into the turnovers and all that, of course, but you still have a chance to win the game. You take it to overtime when you were down by 2 scores, heading into the second half. Had Buffalo won that game, we would not be having these conversations about the 5 turnovers, but they lost, so that's the first thing you're going to start looking to as to why they lost the game. James Cook had a fumble. Josh Allen threw 2 interceptions. One of them was an underthrown interception, trying to make it, trying to make a play out of nothing. And then the 2 lost fumbles. Josh Allen has notoriously been known for holding the ball out in harm's way, so to speak, whenever he scrambles around, because he's bigger and stronger than everybody, so he thinks he can out-muscle everybody with the ball in his hands. There are times where he really hasn't protected it with 2 hands like you would like to see your quarterback do when they take off and run. Josh Allen typically holds the ball out at times, puts it in harm's way, and this time, it came back to bite him. This is not the first time we've seen him do that. If you watch the Bills throughout the season and throughout Josh Allen's career, he has been known to do that. So Denver did a pretty good job of knocking the ball out when Josh Allen put the ball in that situation. So it's a big reason why they did lose the game, because I thought that Buffalo would win this game, because I just thought they'd be the better team. I thought it was a better matchup based on how Denver plays defense. As great as Denver's defense is, they play a lot of man-to-man and not a lot of zone. That would mean golden opportunities for Josh Allen to use his legs and do damage that way. And he's also really good against man-to-man overall as a quarterback. So I thought the matchup overall would better favor Buffalo. But in the end, the turnovers are what hindered them. We talk about the catch here with Brandon Cooks, who ended up being an interception. I have a quote here from the former VP of officiating explaining why Brandon Cooks' catch was not a catch. This is Walt Anderson through NFL Game Day. He went ahead to say that as the receiver is going to the ground, as soon as he hits the ground, the ball is immediately loose. That would be an incomplete pass if it comes out and hits the ground. The reality here is the ball never hits the ground. The loose ball ends up immediately being in control of the defensive player, who then rolls over with the ball as he maintains control of the ball. That's why on the field it was ruled as an interception. In review, which both the replay official at the stadium and New York spent the time looking at it. So there's a rule. I've seen it go both ways. I think overall over these past years, like that, what's a catch and what isn't a catch is very inconsistent. You can look across the league throughout the season. I think back to the Ravens-Steelers game in Baltimore when Isaiah Likely, I thought, had a touchdown, had possession of the ball and took 2 steps in the end zone. apparently, it wasn't ruled a catch because there was no football move. There was no third step, I guess. Well, here you see, okay, Brandon Cooks has the ball in his hand, the knees down. He should be down as a catch, right? Because I actually thought this was a catch. I did when I first saw it. But then you look at the replay, it's like, okay, can you clearly see that the receiver has possession of the ball solely, like sole possession of the football? Or is the defender, do they have simultaneous possession? Because even in that situation, from what I've seen from the rules, if it is a simultaneous catch between the defender and the receiver, the ball automatically goes to the offense. So it's ruled as a catch. So that's why I feel like it's been inconsistent. But according to what Walt Anderson said here, this was a clear interception. You looked at the replay, it did look like the defender had the ball as Brandon Cooks was going down. Again, I thought Brandon Cooks going down with his leg and his knee, it looked like a catch to me. So to each their own. I think it's a call that I've seen go both ways. Unfortunately, it did not go Buffalo's way, so it's rough. Where does Buffalo go from here? They're now rumbling saying that maybe Buffalo should move on from Sean McDermott. They're saying that he's the guy that's holding Josh Allen and his Bills team back from getting to the Super Bowl. Look, I think Sean McDermott has been a pretty decent coach over the years. And has really gotten great games out of Josh Allen. Based on where Josh Allen began, he's really been assisted in the evolution of Josh Allen. Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, who's going to get some head coaching looks, he's been very good evolving this offense. So I'm creating it so Josh Allen doesn't turn the ball over as much as he was in the past. He's been very efficient up until this game. He had 16 total touchdowns and 0 interceptions throughout his playoff career. This was the worst playoff game that we've seen from Josh Allen, and yet the Bills still had a chance to win the game. They only lost by 3 in overtime. A couple calls here and there, didn't go their way, and that's where it is. The uproar about the calls on the Bills defense late in the game, guys, watch the game. It's the pass interference calls that were made. It was clear cut. Guys grabbing his arm, holding on to it as the ball's coming to him. That's going to get called pass interference every single time. Roughing the passer, we know what the rules are with hitting the quarterback. You basically can't do it because you can't breathe on the quarterback these days. You know that going into it, so they're going to make that call. And then the holding. All these calls were very obvious if you look at it. There were a lot of calls that were missed on Denver's defense. I thought there was a face mask on the offensive line in one situation. There were a couple of holding calls that should have been called that did not when Josh Allen was in the end zone stepping up to make a throw. I thought a couple of offensive players from Denver were held. That's just what I saw. Those calls were obvious. The pass interference from Tre'Davious White, that was clear-cut obvious. There's no way around it.